I always do everything in my power to try and accomplish what I set out to do. And I think the hardest part for me was the fear of failure and the doubt that kind of creeps up into your mind. I mean, you gear up for these challenges. I mean, I look around me, I see my Galu tribe members, I see Foa, and I see a lot of these really athletic people. I mean, really well-apt competitors, and you just want to perform your best at all times. So I was coasting through as one of the final Galus in the game, and Brett was ready to get voted off as one of the bigger threats. I'd learned to kind of harp on my weaknesses to get me a little bit further along with the Foas. And then good old Brett won immunity, which put my head on the chopping block. And I went kicking and screaming. I definitely didn't roll over and play dead. I went out swinging. And it just so happened that it was my time to go. You know, at the last tribal council, a lot of people basically said that I should have stirred stuff up earlier, that I maybe should have showed that feisty side that I showed my last day in the game earlier on in the game, that I should have given more in that sort of strategy. I, for myself, don't have any regrets. I think as a female that comes on that strong, it would have been way too early in the game to really work that strategy and to be as feisty as I was that final day. I think people really do see that as a threat, and they're not comfortable with it, especially having it come from a female. And with the way I finished, I was one of the final Galus, and I was able to paint myself off as being the least threatening out of the ones left. And so I think that's what got me further ahead. At that final straw, I had to literally just lay all my cards down because I realized I really didn't have much time left. So I think had I stayed further in the game, even more strategy would have come out, but given the time and place and all of the situations that occurred, I don't think that there was a time for me to be feisty and create drama the way that I did that last day at any other point. To see Galu gain the momentum that it did throughout the game was awesome. And when it started to kind of fall apart and you just saw one Galu jury member after another join the jury, it was really sad. But I mean, it put me in a position that it did get me a little bit further in the game. I don't know where I would have sat within the Galus necessarily in the shoulda, woulda, coulda's. But in the end, looking back, there were opportunities that I could have gone with Foa for numbers and taken their offer to be in the top 5, be in the top 6, as Shambo did. At the end of the day, I am proud of how I played this game. And I'm also proud of how far I came. I mean, I was one of the last Galu members voted out. I made the merge. I was on the jury. I think throughout the game, I constantly tried to keep myself ahead of myself and wondering and playing out different scenarios in my head and not trusting people. I think I learned a lot about how to play the game. If given the opportunity to play again, there would be some things that I might do differently. I don't think that there's anything that I'd do extremely different, but in the situation, there's just so many different personalities that you really can't account for. There's so many variables that even if you come in with a flawless strategy, you still have to account for people like Shambo, who could flip at any moment, or people like John, who overthink things, or people like Laura, who's an awesome competitor, who people want out. And I mean, that's not someone that you want to align yourself with necessarily, because you kind of team yourself up as a threat. So I think there's certain variables that I might be able to prepare myself better for if I played the game again. But in the long run, I think I played a great game. I'm not the most athletic of people, and I used my other skills to really advance myself as much as I possibly could. I've definitely learned how resilient of a person I am. I think that this has magnified some strengths that I didn't really see in myself before, or that I didn't see as strong in myself before. For instance, I realized how persistent I am in getting what I want, or at least stirring the pot, and that's a pretty cool trait to have. And I think it really enlightened a huge appreciation for my family and for my faith. And it made me realize really what's important in life. I think there's a lot of these materialistic things that we surround ourselves with. I mean, the daily life of going to school, going to work, checking our phones, checking emails, making money, and I think we kind of lose sight of what's really important. And as cheesy as that may sound, you really start to appreciate those things. The things that I missed most and the things that gave me the most strength were thinking of my family and my faith. And that's something you really you can't even put a price on the level of appreciation and the connection that I felt and in the journey that I went through.